Well, today we perhaps face two of the sides we were expecting to be competing with Sporting Lisbon this season. As it is, due to our failure to qualify for the Europa Conference League phase, we have been able to compete pretty well in the league. We're still in that battle with now the runaway top three, the three you expected, and we've got to compete. Let's go and see if we can do it, as Boavista and Estoril stand in our way. Yes, hello and welcome along to part 56 of the Coach's Head with me, Daniel. Does anyone recognise the name of the Boavista manager today? Emiliano Viviano, once lone goalkeeper at Arsenal. I'm sure not that incredibly well remembered, but he is up against us today, as at Estoril, who in a week's time over the Christmas period, with Paulo Sousa in charge none less, will be trying to put a dent in our ambitions to keep track with Benfica and Porto. We're sandwiched in the middle of them with the game in hand, this one being the opportunity. So if you're looking forward to seeing if we get on well as the January transfer window and the director of football's decisions loom, then please do put a thumbs up on the video. We've got Continella out for a month, we've got a negative bank balance and a wage budget that's miles over. So what on earth is going to happen here over the next month? I don't know. I'm sure you guys won't either. The director of football's become unpredictable this year. Let's go and have a quick look at the schedule though to see what's been going on in a few games off camera, because the games have actually been pretty well spread out. Due to no Europe, we've had 3 games in 6 weeks, which kind of gives you a heads up as to how important that was, because otherwise it would have been 7 or 8 and then we would have been a little bit more fatigued. We kept 3 clean sheets, we did really well, backing up that 1-0 win against Porto with a 2-0 win at home in the Cup. That's the Portuguese Cup rather than the League Cup. Young Pedro Mendes came in and scored both of the goals. Still looking absolutely brilliant at 18. A 3-0 win the game after, an expected win, as Hervenhoff got 2 and Abdul Fatawu scored 1. That game was pretty much over at half-time. We had to be a little bit more patient in our last game though. A penalty after half an hour from Telehovsky, but Fatawu and Zakarias added second half goals for that frustrating injury to Continella. We've got winnable cup games, to be honest. We've got Santa Clara at home in the 5th round of the Portuguese Cup. They're mid-table at the moment. And Turinze are in the second league, so not a side that should be beating us. In a League Cup semi-final, Porto did go out, so if Estoril can shock Benfica in the semis, we might have an opportunity going into the final. We're not going to worry about all of that for now, though. We are going to have a quick glance at the youth candidates. There's a pretty average intake on the way, which, given the fact that we're in a league and at one of the 3 teams that often produces the best, is far from ideal. A little bit disappointing, I would say. Let's go and get through to the fixtures though, because Boavista at home is a big one. A real opportunity against a very decent side, who aren't maybe the best of the 2 we're going to face today, but certainly having a very solid season. Continella's injury means we are going to have to adjust the bench slightly. We did have a few out last game, so Volleson is probably the one to come back in. And if we have a look at the lineup for this one, while everyone's pretty well looked after and there's a lot of light match loads, we are just having to make a few decisions. Kirkes, back from injury, came off the bench last match. He comes in to left back. Then in midfield, I'm going to bring Otavio in for Rivera, who's just not been in the greatest of form recently. Tempted to do the same with Mendes and take out Silva, but he is the best player at the club. He'll get there eventually. It means our 11 for today is Alemdar in goal. Kirkes and a race in the fullbacks with Lakowski alongside Doyle, the all-English centre-half partnership. Telehovsky and Redondo, the holding midfield too. Fatawu and Otavio out wide. Then it's Gabriel Silva behind an informed John Hervenhoff, who will hopefully keep up his goal-scoring form today. Well, it's 2 changes for the visitors, a side that we're not hugely familiar with and one that is performing well. We've got most of our attacking players motivated and we want to see the best of them today. Can we entertain the crowd? Can we get a big win? And can we keep this remarkable run of clean sheets going? Because other than the latter stages against Braga in the last episode, where from 3-0 up, there were a couple of freak incidents, a mistake with a sub, and a couple of late goals, we've looked remarkable defensively. Even in that Porto game you saw last time out, we really have done a job. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to keep that form. That is what's keeping us in the mix. But I know as we come up against the top sides, that may change. As down the right-hand side, here come our visitors. Abansky goes back to his centre-half. And they'll build again, trying to switch the play pretty quickly. Mingo goes down the left. Can we force them backwards? Can we press them and win the ball back? It's down the line to Bento. It's good football. Amarilla gets there first. Up towards Campos. Into Zhu. Bento again. And not for the first time this season, Durgan Alemdar has been beaten at his near post by a pretty tepid shot. Getting a little bit frustrated by him. The goal's awarded. And yet again, the clean sheet runner's gone. Just one of those stupid things. Fatawu wins the ball back. We do tend to struggle when we don't score first because teams just sit back against us and make it very difficult as Laskowski finds a racing on the right-hand side. Keeping possession, but what have we got to show for it? And there's certainly no panic with 12 minutes gone, but it does concern me a little bit as Kirkes works it down the line to Silva. Good football. He's through across to Hervenhov. 1-1 instantly. That's what we needed. This two combining now. Silva and Hervenhov, two excellent strikers at this level. And our best form of defence is attack. As proven again, it's 1-1 and we're immediately back on terms. And with 25 on the clock, we're back in the attacking half again. Though Silva's giving it away, Kirkes able to win it back. And we can start building again with Callum Doyle on the halfway line. Inside to Telehovsky with Silva alongside. Beats his man with ease. Great touch to Hervenhov. And they're at it again. The partnership is brewing between the two of them. It's looking fantastic. And hopefully that will be the last time that we have to worry about not being ahead in the game. 2-1. We've been clinical in front of goal. It's the same combination. Silva and Hervenhov again. Well, 5 minutes to the break and we're back on the right-hand side as the visitors are in possession and it's a big ball over the top. Looked offside to me, but Alemdar does make a good save and it wasn't off. It's gone out for a corner kick. Now we've got some defending to do. Not looked the most robust at the back today, which given our recent form is frustrating. You saw what we restricted Porto to. It does make games like this all the more challenging. Otavio's going to try and get on the end of that, but Fatawu does nick it. And now we can counter. Hervenhov wide to Otavio on the left-hand side. Up towards Redondo. Space to run into again. Gets to the byline. Redondo crosses. Otavio's there. And that is the most ruthless type of counter-attack you'll see. One end to the other in less than 10 seconds. Brilliant football with 4 or 5 involved. And Otavio finishes it off. A big team selection decision. We've got it right today. 3-1 at the break. And it looks like we're heading for 3 more points. Well, essentially, we've told the lads to step up another gear because while we've scored a couple of great counter-attacking goals, we've not been brilliant from open play. And I'd like to make this game a bit more comfortable. It's great if we can get 3 or 4 up, bring some of those young kids on. And it'd be nice if Hervenhov could get the hat-trick and get that standing ovation on his way off. As Otavio breaks down the left-hand side. Back to Redondo. It just made it the pass. And Telehovsky, my word. We're probably going to lose him in January. We almost lost him at the end of the window. He inexplicably turned down Brighton, I think it was, wasn't it? We saw it on camera. But he's probably going to go in the window. Someone's going to come in. As Fatawu's corner, headed down. Only as far as Otavio and Hervenhov and Telehovsky. Both missed. I mean, we've come out the second half. We do look better, I'll give us that. As Silva cuts it back, gives away possession. Racing's got nothing he can do there other than retreat. Campos brings it away down the left-hand side. Cuts it in. Telehovsky's there. It's out to Fatawu. Boy, do we look good now. Over the top to Hervenhov. He's in for 5-1. Oh, dinks it over the keeper. Little bit suspect there maybe on the betting patterns because the keeper did sort of run out of the way and didn't even cover his goal. But we're not going to complain. 5-1 up. Let's make some subs. Fatawu set that goal up, but we're going to rest him for young Mendes. Now Hervenhov's got his hat-trick. We'll bring on Mamadou Fernandez. Kirkes back from injury. 55 minutes is great. Volken on for you. Zakarias on for the booked Silva, who we need to protect from injury. And there's not really any other youngsters there, so they're the 4 I'm going to make for now. Then I might give Braganca an appearance as well. He must be. We haven't looked since we got here. Is he near the appearance record for the club? We just have a quick look. Or has he made it already? History, records, most league appearances by a player. 349 for Braganca. So every single one we can give him helps him push towards it. We're now going to do the simple thing. We're going to rest Telehovsky as he is so important. We'll move Redondo over. We'll bring Braganca on. We'll enjoy the rest of the game at 5-1 up. Because we've got a little bit of defending to do here. Boavista on the ball in the middle. But Telehovsky nicks it in what be his final contribution. Fernandez finds Mendes. The 2 youngsters combine. Mendes down the right into the box. Great run. Cross the box it goes. Good save by the keeper. Volken not able to get there for the second though. Laskowski almost risking a red card. With 20 to go, this has been an exemplary display. A shame we lost the clean sheet record, but the response, it's not been bad, has it? And here we go again. At 10 minutes to go, Braganca chasing back into the left-back area. And he finds Callum Doyle. It's wide to Volken. Otavio down the left-hand side. Into Zacharias, a youngster we've not seen a great deal from this year. Mamadou Fernandez finds Pedro Mendes. We've seen plenty of this one, though. 8 for the season for Mendes. Don't know how many assists he's got as well. He's 18 years old. He looks remarkable. And surely sky is the limit for that kid. I'll have to have a look in the head coach save to see what happened to him if he came along in time. I suppose alternate universe he might not have. As we're back with the racing on the right-hand side and Laskowski. He's certainly making a name for himself here as Callum Doyle. Working it forward to Braganca. Can we add more? Don't just keep possession. I want a ridiculous scoreline. I want to embarrass the opposition as Zacharias has the run of Fernandez. Goes alone though. That's a little bit greedy. Saw his name in lights there. It stays just 6-1. Disappointing. We're halfway through 2 minutes of second half stoppage time and we are very much enjoying our afternoon here. Namora gets the ball at the back for Boavista. I will get a little bit frustrated if we concede again, but instead we've won the ball back high with Otavio. Volken down the left-hand side. Support from Zacharias, looking for a run. Again, just not quite at the tempo as Zacharias. It's disappointing because on paper he's a very good player. Switch of play and Boavista can come forward, but Racing does really well. Wins it back early. Laskowski brings it forward. Support from Racing again. Can we create one more chance? That's what I want to know. And we don't seem too intent on getting forward quickly, which means this isn't a key highlight if we end up seeing the rest of the game. Doyle into Redondo, through to Zacharias. That's the ball we're looking for. Fernandez in, keeper's beaten, but Mendes is there, and it's in for 9. A little bit fortunate off the underside of the bar. He made hard work of that finish, but it is 7-1. 2 for the sub Mendes. That is just brilliant. What a day at the office. Hat-trick Hervenhoff, 2 for Mendes the youngster, and a 7-1 win for Sporting Lisbon. That is by far our best performance in front of goal this season. Now let's see if we can back it up against Estoril. We're absolutely flying in 4th. Well, we are back to face Estoril away from home in what may be a more difficult test, but the last 10 days building up to the transfer window have already led to some problems. One player we're going to be without today is Abdul Fatawu, who has left today, ironically, to go on AFCON duty. The tournament doesn't start for 11 or 12 days. He couldn't have just waited one more day, though. He goes away on international duty. And in addition to that, in the medical centre, we are also without John Hervenhoff, who just after finding his best form of the season, decided to get injured. He's now out basically for the entirety of January. So 2 of our starting attacking 4 are now gone. We've got to make a decision as to whether we go Silva up front and a number 10. But obviously you'd expect Mendes to come in on the right, who's now just been given a new deal on 81 grand a week at 18. But there are a few question marks and a few solutions that need to be found. So Pedro Mendes is in on the right-hand side of midfield. Sousa onto the bench is fine. And I'm going to go, on this occasion, for Gabriel Silva up front. And in the number 10 role, I think we might just chuck. I tell you what, let's go Rivera on the left and Otavio in the middle. See how that works out. We'll also change the substitutes bench because Hervenhoff is off. And he will be replaced by Rorado. I think that's about as strong as we can be. No need to change the rest of the team. We played so well last time out. But it's Mendes in and it's Rivera in with changes of position for Otavio and Silva. Enforced changes in the front 4 for Sporting Lisbon. And away to the surprise package of the season. Can we keep up the quality? Let's go and find out. Well, into the game we go today as there are 4 changes for our hosts and a couple of familiar names in the team. Ernad Puklin, you may remember from our stint at Dinamo Zagreb. He was a central defender there. And you may also note on our left wing an experienced Jack Clark, who has gone out to play for Estoril. A couple of names you didn't expect to be seeing in this episode. So let's go and get through and tell the lads to prove our point. Anything like half the performance we saw last weekend, and we're going to be in for an absolute treat. Let's see if we can produce it. We're only playing once every 8 or 9 days, so these lads, there's no excuse on the physical front. It's all about what's between the ears. Well, it's always the way, isn't it? After excitement comes this. A few too many have tucked into a bit too much of a Christmas dinner. And it's 0-0 at the break. There have been no shots on target from us. A combined expected goals of 0.03. And anyone who's come out for entertainment over this festive period is in for bitter disappointment. And I proved the point. I think you can see we're missing Hervenhov and Fatawu here. I'm going to give it to the hour mark. We'll see what happens. But there's not a great deal of attacking depth on the bench. We've got Sakarias and Souza have been poor all year. Fernandez has had 2 great games, but they were in the cup against lowly opposition. And although we have been better at the start of this half, we've not looked like scoring. So let's make the changes. We're going to go... I think I'm going to take off Mendes and Rivera, the 2 that came in. We'll get Otavio out wide. We'll get Silva back to number 10. And then we're going to go for Vasco Souza off the left. And we're going to go for Fernandez up front. We're also going to take off Laskowski, who's weirdly nervous, and bring on Gabbia. Volken deserves a run for Kirkes, who's been poor. And then the final change, I mean, I might take Otavio off as well. Let's go Zakarias. And I might chuck Silva out wide, or no, they're better that way round. Let's just leave it at that. We've got 26 minutes to go, and we have not looked like creating any threat so far. I mean, this is an Estoril team that have been very, very solid this season. But this is a game that you can't afford to drop points if you want to be up in that mix, as we've got a throw in our own defensive third. Silva coming very deep to get the ball there, and Gabbia able to play out to Alemdar. He has space to run into the keeper. Instead, just hoofs it long towards Souza, who's not getting there. And Marquez has won the second ball. Saka's gone through. Flick past Gabbia, but it's good goalkeeping, Alemdar. We get away with that one. Not the best of work. Can he now find the right pass downfield? He goes long again. Not really a target up there. But Fernandez will get on the end of a poor-headed clearance. Mamadou Fernandez. Now he's a league hero too. The youngster has delivered a big goal. I think he's 21 now. But he's really starting to come of age. And without John Hervenhov, that goal and that performance is going to be absolutely huge. Because we might become reliant on this kid. Fernandez makes it 1-0. And now I'm suddenly very relieved. Well, we're heading to 3 minutes of stoppage time. There's not much of it to go, but I'm taking no risks. We're going fullbacks on defend. We're also going to drop the wingers to support duties. We're just going to see this one out. We're going to be really sensible about it. A 1-0 win away at a side that are really overperforming and probably will be in Europe next year is a really good sign for us this season. Definitely aided by the fact that we're not playing every 3 or 4 days, but the fact that only playing every 10 days or so when we've not got European football and we're only just competing with Benfica and Porto maybe shows you the trouble we're going to have next season if we do end up in Europe, if we do miss out on a title, because I think it's this year or never potentially. So let's just get that low block on. Let's sit behind the ball. There's 1 minute of added time to go. And there's one last pump forward for Estoril. Down the right-hand side. Up we go, but we can't win the head up. Puklin, our former man from Dinamo, gets it into midfield. And it's one last chance. 30 seconds on the clock. Seth goes back to Puklin. We're sat deep in that shape, you can see now. But are we going to be strong enough? Can we be resolute? And can we nick the ball back? It's over the top. The right back's trying to play offside. Just do your job first. A racing again. Really not a player I'm thrilled about. But we get the 1-0 win. We produce the goods. And Mamadou Fernandez, now a league hero. And although we missed John Hervenhov, we didn't miss his goals in the end. Let's tell the lads the performance was good. Let's go and get through and see what the implications are. Any injury, suspensions or anything else, because we are a little bit depleted now. We're 1 point clear of Benfica. Porto have really dropped off a cliff. I guess this is the time they're playing a lot of European games. Fernandez set to get a pay rise. We've won 5 straight, starting with that Porto game. That's really hurt them, hasn't it? Because since then, if we have a look, since we beat them, they played Estoril in the Cup and lost. They played Rangers in the Europa League and drew. Lost at home in the league. Then they beat Anderlecht, but then draw, win, draw. Not consistent at all. Benfica on the flip side have been a little bit better. You can see around European games, they've lost, hang on a minute, both of the big two, Benfica and Porto, are out the Portuguese Cup. That is an interesting one. They also lost to Bromby in the Champions League. But if we have a look at these cup draws now, both of the big two are out. Braga did get through. I'm just looking at Estoril as well, who are up there, but they managed to get through against Porto. But Porto and Benfica are out, so at the minimum, a cup victory should be definitely top of the order here. We've got to get trophies back to Sporting Lisbon. Didn't actually look, did we? We saw how bad their league form had been in recent years. What about their, I'm on the wrong screen entirely here. What about their cup history? When did they last win them? So the league, they've obviously had one runners-up appearance in the last 5 years, but nothing else in the top 3. if we go to the Portuguese Cup, they won it in 2030 and were runners-up in 2029, but they're the only 2 times they've reached the final since this save started. The Portuguese Super Cup, again, won it once, and the League Cup won it last year, but that was their only victory since the save started as well. So we've definitely got a chance to bring success back to the club. But there is one thing I am dreading, because the finances are poor, both in terms of being over the wage budget and the bank balance. The January window is upon us. Silva is wanted. Otavio's wanted. Telehovsky's wanted. Gabby are on the bench. I'm not so worried about that or a racing. Fernandez now wanted. Might go out on loan. And Volis and Rorado, good squad players as well. Bids already in for Braganca and for Kubik. This could become a very testing month. We're going to keep an eye on the January window and what our director of football, Hugo Viana, does. If we have a look at the schedule, we've got good reason to come and have a look back towards the end of the month as well. Because don't forget, the League Cup semi-final takes place on the 18th. And if we win it, we'll be playing in the final the same weekend. So we will be back, I hope, for a League Cup final, the penultimate game of January. And then we'll probably look ahead to deadline day and maybe one other fixture around it. If you're looking forward to that and you did enjoy this one, a thrilling victory and a gritty champions victory, we've shown both sides of our game today. And please do put a thumbs up on the video. Will we now start to miss the players that are injured and away on international duty? And give us your predictions in the comments. How many of the stars will the director of football sell? Will we be shot in the foot, or will we be able to push on? Let me know what you think will happen down in the comments. And if you want to stay up to date and find out the answer, subscribe and turn that notification bell on. We'll be back on Monday as we edge closer to the end of the season and hopefully have the chance at a League Cup final. But between now and then, we're back with Southend tomorrow, a big finish to the week in that save, and plenty more to come from our other playlists, FM25 on the way, the Twitch channel and the football podcast, all those key links up in the eye above. But thank you very much for watching and for being here as always. And I'll see you again here next time, as hopefully, barring a disaster, we'll be in a League Cup final. And the question is, how many of our stars will have been sold?